The people here have come from the barren famine lands of the north, places like Wallo and Tigray. This is one of several such camps set up by the government. This was a vast empty part of Ethiopia until 6 months ago. Now with what can only be described as primitive agricultural methods, the area is being transformed. The target is to make this 12,000 member community self-sufficient. On this trip, we were accompanied by Communist Party officials and members of the Irish agency concerned. Everyone here has lost a relative in the famine. Families have been split up through resettlement. The emphasis has been on the use of young, able labour. New technology is not wanted, it cannot be afforded. According to the party line, this is production of the masses. But these very people, while they're now living up to 1,000 miles from their original homeland, have food in resettlement. Freedom is a different thing. It's an organised day for all. Serious question marks have been raised over the whole question of Ethiopian resettlement. So far, only Italy and Canada have pledged aid for the resettlement programme. The most serious allegation is that up to 100,000 Ethiopians died in what has been described as forced resettlement for political reasons.
Resettlement took place after a very severe drought, which has taken the lives of many, particularly the young and the old. So all this has to be put into perspective when one talks about today's talk. But in spite of that, I would say the figure, like 50 to 100,000, is a very high figure and an exaggerated figure.
Guns are carried by guards watching over the people. When we continued to film this scene, we were forced to stop by a government official. So, how much force is involved in resettlement?
Depends on what one means by force, I presume, but there isn't really, considering the number of people moved in the entire settlement program, which is over 500,000, there's very little force used, especially at like the ones that you have seen today at the settlement sites. It is selected people from the settlers that are armed, both to protect themselves and the property in the area.
If a person wanted to leave resettlement and go back to his homeland, say in Harbour or Wallo, would that be allowed?
Yes, it is. Depends on the circumstances. To the extent possible, massive return or mobilized return movement is not encouraged.
In the north, hundreds of thousands of people died in the past year. Resettlement is not something that one would advocate if conditions were perfect, if you had an ideal situation, because there is definitely a certain hardship involved, but I would support resettlement in the present situation. It is one of the harsh realities of Ethiopia, and I think that there is great hope for the people in resettlement, provided they get some aid at this early stage.
At the end of the day, the men of the village once more returned home. There is no doubt that forced resettlement is a harsh solution, but already from the north of Ethiopia, new drought and famine reports are being received.